I've got two questions. I just want to go back to a couple of things that we talked about earlier. We did mention about IoT applications, and actually on a previous ST interview, I was talking about IoT battery-powered applications. So the growing rate of these within industry is increasing by a magnitude. How are STSPIN approaching battery-powered IoT applications for motion control, motor control?
Okay, I can continue on this side. I think first of all we should distinguish, let's say, between two main big categories of battery-powered applications. From one side, we have 5S to 10S LiPo cells supplied applications, which are, let's say, typically appliances or very highly and quickly growing electric power tools, and other let's call them more consumer applications like vacuum cleaners and so on. On the other side, we have teeny and tiny applications, which are really growing very quickly, tremendously high, which are supplied by 1S or 2S LiPo cells. So to serve these markets, STSPIN portfolio is quite well equipped. The 10S, 5S to 10S applications, supplied applications, we are able to drive them quite efficiently, quite well with our let's say traditional market-leading STSPIN products and the devices which were initially designed and thought for 24 volt and 36 volt bus applications, industrial applications, and still the rating of these devices, the power consumption and the innovation and integration of these devices can also be used very well for these battery powered applications. When it comes to more advanced, more let's say PCB space, so smaller PCB space eager applications, or higher efficiency battery powered applications still supplied at 5S or 10S, we are putting on the market. We have put on the market the STSPIN 32 family that Francesca mentioned, which is at the heart of some let's say reference designs we are developing, and as Francesca also mentioned, not all reference designs are available publicly on the web, because some of them we prefer to promote, let's say, in a focused way. The second category, the 1S, 2S LiPo cell supplied applications, are really the ones who are fueled by the IoT expansion, by the IoT applications boom, and also by, generally speaking, other portable applications. Francesca mentioned gimbals before. For sure, smartphones are the king of this portable application boom, and the sum also for our industrial application, our industrial, let's say, more motion control devices. This sum is very interesting, and that's why we developed the so-called STSPIN 2 series device. Francesca showed before the slide, and also the packages of these devices. So these are the smallest the devices in the smallest package, in the smallest housing. Francesca showed the STSPIN 2 series. They consist of 5 very compact and energy efficient devices, which are able to drive different kind of motors, stepper motors, 3-phase BLDC, brush DC, and so on. And as let's say as we are riding this wave of IoT application of battery-powered boom for these small 1S and 2S LiPo cell supplied applications, we are having good success, very good market adoption and return from the market for the STSPIN 2 devices. But why this is possible? Again, because we were able to introduce innovation in these devices. STSPIN 2 series was the first on the market to have 10 nanoamperes of standby current consumption, so outstanding standby current consumption. We were the first on the market with 256 microsteps accuracy for stepper motors, which gave us a huge, let's say, step forward in this market. And when it comes to the brushed DC motors, we were the first to put the highest current capability teeny and tiny motor driver. And this allowed us to penetrate in educational robots, small home robots, energy efficient valves, very high-end locks, pop-up cameras in smartphones, gimbals, which are both portable gimbals and gimbals which are attached on the bottom of the drone, and other applications, other news which will come down the year. So very exciting market segment, very highly growing, much more consumerized than traditional industrial, which is our, let's say, main domain where we are playing, but absolutely worth investing because the return on investment is very, very satisfactory.
Okay.
Just one point, if I can step in, because for STSPIN 2, we have mentioned a very specific application in the consumer area, mobile phone, drones. I mean, it's not just for, let's say, this big customer or for people doing some kind of toys in their basement. It actually finds also application in the industrial world. If you think, for example, to utilities, to the remote metering, when they decide they have to cut you the furniture, I mean, the delivery of the gas or of the water, they can read remotely what you are using, but to cut you the gas or the water, they need a valve that is powered by a battery, and you have to close this valve. The same for heating system in your home. So the range of application, of course, volume are with mobile phones, fancy solution are with drones, but it's plenty of real, I mean, everyday life solution that still need this kind of small motor drivers driven by battery, powered by batteries.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a really kind of important point to emphasize. It is that crossover as well from the consumer side of application through to the industrial side. And I get both the points about how it's making things more available on the consumer side, but also equally important to the industrial side, particularly when you mention utilities. That's two of the examples that we've kind of discussed internally about remote IoT applications and how do you actually service those and control those. So yeah, that's really an interesting point to make. I did say I was going to ask 2 questions, and I think you probably answered the second question already. It was going to just be about the different kind of motor types. So we've got brushless, brush, and also stepper motors. Is there anything you want to add on that? What's the benefits of using your ICs, and is there any differences that you can give to the application of those?
In this case, I think the benefit is really related to the different technical needs you have with these 3 different kind of motors. So just maybe a couple of benefits for each motors. For stepper, we already mentioned before, what is important is precision, low noise, very high accuracy. And this is a benefit that is appreciated in a specific application area. For example, 3D printer, that's for sure, yeah. But also more traditional application area like textile machines or factory automation, generally speaking. If we go to DC motor, it's more about the flexibility. So we have products that can drive more motors simultaneously. So one IC, more motors. How many depends on the motor, on the DC motor characteristic. And at the same time, or on a different board, not on the same board, of course, you can use the device in such a way that it is a single power stage that can drive a higher power motor. So you buy one and you have 2 functions basically. So this is flexibility, and each and every STSPIN subfamily has some device for brushed DC motor. For three-phase BLDC, what we focused on with STSPIN32 was the integration, having a subsystem already there with the small sites. But again, we have been playing also on the scalability here because we release more options from the very low voltage one below 50 volt up to 600 volt. So it really depends on the here it really stays on the motor, and then you link the specific motor to the final application.
Okay, you were talking about motor driving there. How many motors can be driven simultaneously with an IC? Is there an optimal figure, or is there a way to work this out?
Typically, we have this requirement for brushed DC motors, but some applications like surveillance camera mentioned by Francesca before are also requiring this for stepper motors. In this case, we need to have two stepper motors being driven typically simultaneously, or for three-phase BLDC applications, some advanced let's say industrial automation equipment required to drive more BLDC motors simultaneously. Yes, we have this traditionally with our traditional STSPIN products, L62 series, and now after with STSPIN 2 series and 8 series, our brushed DC motor drivers can drive up to 2 or 4 DC motors, depending of the need to let's say drive the motor in the same application in both directions. And when it comes to the three-phase BLDC, the let's say new products we have in development will be able to drive more than one three-phase BLDC motor in parallel simultaneously, which will again give, I think, a very high benefit to the customers, because basically they will reduce the overall cost, because they're going to remove one advanced motor driver for their, let's say, advanced industrial systems.
Yeah, so ideal, like you say, for security cameras, but also, you know, the multiple access that you would need for security cameras would be also represented within CNC machining, for example, where you need the multiple access control. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
So just in terms of the power range for STSPIN, what power range are we addressing here?
Okay, here, let's say, when we integrate the power stage, of course, the power range is defined by the product, so by STSPIN. So we go from few watts of the STSPIN 2 series up to some hundreds of watts when we have integrated power stage that have discrete MOSFET inside the package, like the PWD series or the power step. When we go, for example, to STSPIN32, where the integration is the driver and the micro, but MOSFET or IGBTs are outside, we have more room to go. It depends on the MOSFET or IGBTs the designer decide to couple with STSPIN, and we can reach easily 1 kilowatt, also 2 kilowatt power range. Okay.
I just want to touch upon system safety, if I can, as well. So is there any protections for STSPIN that are equipped to cope with system safety?
Yes, safety is becoming more and more important, and let's say traditionally safety or protections of our device itself or of the motor, let's say, something that was required and very, very important 20 years ago, 20 and more years ago. Now it's a kind of let's say de facto standard to have protections. But yes, all our devices, all our motor drivers are having circuits able to monitor the supply voltage, shut the driver, shut the device down in case this supply voltage for any reason is out of control or out of the range. We have a circuitry which is sensing, monitoring the external power stage, also avoiding short circuits, avoiding over voltage events, and then circuitry for the overcurrent protection, which protects again both our device and the motor, and the same holds true for the over temperature. If for any reason the temperature of our device or of power stage becomes unstable and out of control, we we can detect this and protect our device and the rest of the motion control system. When it comes to the safety, how it is conceived today, I mean, how it is becoming more and more important today in the industrial application, for instance, in robotic arms and other higher power applications. In this case, safety is conceived, let's say, is more safety or safety integrity level, system safety, which is more demanding, more particular, and different. I mean, it has very precise and very strict requirements, and some certifications need to be respected as well. So in this kind of applications, we have some products which are not belonging to the motion control, but very similar, which are let's say certified and guaranteed for this so-called SIL, and let's say this is another interesting area to look at, especially when it comes to robotics and to the servo drives.
Yeah. So the other thing, obviously, it goes hand in hand with safety, is also diagnostic capabilities. Is there anything that you want to elaborate on for that?
Yeah, I may take this. I mean, to sense the fault and to react in proper time has always been there. Diagnostic is a step further. I mean, you need to bring outside to the central system the information. It can be just a heads up, a flag, or in the best case is a comprehensive set of information. So if you start from the simple product, the motor driver, you have the first option. You are able to sense, to react if we have to protect the system, and to raise a flag. When it comes to STSPIN 32, I think we are on a higher level in diagnostic, because having everything together, the microcontroller and the analog circuit and the motor very near, since we are able to stay in this, let's say, to the back of the motor most of the time, we are able to have a kind of bridge between the mechanical world and the central brain them. So we can report also the values, so the voltage, the current, the temperature, but even the speed and the torque that are relevant to the control, not only to the power inverter. So this is a step further, I think.
Okay, so we've covered a great deal in the interview so far, but one of the last questions I'm going to ask, we've covered reference designs, we've covered safety, we've covered diagnostics, and we've covered all the different types of motors and application. If a customer was wanting to evaluate for their application, what is it that ST can offer the customer, and are you guys there are there any areas on the website where they can go for additional support?
Yeah, let's try to share the answer of this question. Yes, absolutely, yes. I mean, the first place to start from to get information about our device for sure is our website. But what is more important, I think, to be mentioned here is that we really firmly believe that customer satisfaction and the fact that customer will select one of our STSPIN devices starts from the let's say awareness or a kind of guarantee we are giving them that they can count on us, on our support, basically really from the beginning, from the real first let's say step of choice of the device, and then trying to understand how to use it down to the ramp up in mass production. And then we can do this, and we do this for let's say both virtually through web and through presentations and through let's say all the collaterals, and also physically, because we have a lot of people providing live support. We also mentioned let's say several times already about the fact that systems are becoming more complex, and what is I think one of the most important factors to be taken into account by us and when developing tools is that we have to lower down the barriers of new products evaluation, of prototyping, and adoption of new products, because we already said system designers, they have less and less time to play with the products, to test them, and to let's say even understand how they work very deeply. They don't have time. They are occupied thinking about their system. So we need to relieve system designers from this burden. These are the reasons why we basically provide, together with our devices, a complete ecosystem of tools and collaterals. We are not just giving a board or a data sheet or some documents. It's a complete ecosystem of tools, collaterals, which are aimed to help the customers. When it comes to STSPIN, we have three kinds of solutions. We have general purpose evaluation boards, which are a kind of mandatory tools to evaluate the products. Then we have, let's say, all expansion shields, or also let's call them evaluation boards, which are based and leveraging on STM32 nucleo environment, the nucleo open development environment, and then the widely discussed reference design. So 3 levels of evaluation tools for the customers to select upon their need. If to start with the product, if to, let's say, already make a prototyping based on a nucleo environment by stacking different nucleo boards, leveraging on STM32, or going slightly more versus a real end application, and trying to, let's say, get out from our products the most already in an environment which is very close to their final application.
Yes, then all these, let's say, tools, hardware tools, are managed and they share basically by the same software tools. So everything that is for stepper and DC motor can be fine-tuned and run with the new graphical user interface we have uploaded on our web, that is the STSPIN Studio. And everything that is with the 3-phase BLDC is integrated into our software development kit. Is called SDK, or more commonly known as Motor Control Workbench. So no matter the hardware tool, we have the same tool chain. And this is true for STSPIN, but it is actually true for many more devices. And if we stay only in the motor control to not make it too wide, also for the high power modules, they, with their own hardware, can stick into the same motor control workbench tool. So if a customer is considering whether to test or to try ST for the first time, of course, he has to take into account a certain effort to get familiar with this tool. But then the same tool can work with so many different power solution, control solution, that for sure the return on investment is huge, because you can reuse it for many, many projects. And I think this is the biggest advantage.
Great. I really do appreciate the time that you guys have taken today to take us through not only just the STSPIN series, the applications and the products and all of the additional support that you guys offer to get developments and prototypes up and running, but just to talk about motion control and motor control has been really great for me today. And I really do thank your time today, taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to DesignSpark. So from myself, it's thank you very much. And if you want to just maybe say a closing few words, that's fine.
Okay, I think, of course, thank you from our side for having us and giving us the opportunity to talk about these products. You have seen we like to talk a lot about all this, but we have been talking so far only of the existing products, and there is a huge investment behind that is not stopping now, despite the current situation. So I think our viewers can see more things coming out in the next few months. Correct, Branimir?
Yes, I absolutely agree, and these new products, and I hope new customers, new users of our products will help us to, let's say, go well over 1.5 billion units that we have sold so far of our STSPIN products.
Great. Thanks for your time today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.